All right. I think. Well, I intentionally have that volume low, chat, for a reason, so I can talk over it. Um. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Master Chief isn't defending the station. He isn't. He isn't. He's no clipping out of bounds, getting these cool shots for a hopeless Halo 2 3-hour review. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the very first and probably not the last Bunker Dweller live stream. I've never done this before on YouTube. I don't know what the etiquette is. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if it's going to be well or if it's going to be a shit show. I'm having a feeling it's going to be the latter. Man, there was a lot of I will say I made the announcement earlier and there was like a fucking like religious back and forth going on in the chat. I don't know what was going on there. This is just a compilation of all the videos that I had for my Halo 2 review because I just wanted a background video because we're gonna be chatting. We're gonna be chatting tonight, so can't be much more of a shit show than Halo Studios. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. It's been a while. I feel I haven't had a good sit down discussion about just Halo for a while. It always feels like kind of after that Halo Infinite review, I've kind of been like, I don't know, just only tangentially referring to Halo Studios and 343, like here and there, making little slights, not fully committing to going on a full rant. Because I'll be honest, there isn't much to rant about. Like, there wasn't much. There wasn't much news. That was the problem. There was like nothing. Which I mean, hey, good for me. I'm more than happy to talk about actual good stuff. Play old games, review old games. But man, we have had this like last month or so has been a flood of just bullshit, and I'm curious to see how it's all going to turn out. So I see we had some people who are a little confused about what's happening. I saw some people who are a little confused when I keep referring to a thing called a Halo reveal. And people were wondering, what does that mean? What does a Halo reveal mean? What is going on? Are we getting a Halo reveal? Is there going to be a Halo reveal? So we're kind of getting a reveal. We're kind of getting one. And I have some opinions about this as well. All non-combat personnel report to evacuation stations. I'm just listening to the to the background audio. But this Friday, there's going to be the Halo Championship, which I'm still shocked is going on. I'm still shocked we have professional Halo esports happening, which is just fucking wild to me. But I guess you can't quite kill the Halo esports scene, no matter how hard you try. And that's happening this Friday. So partially, the reason I'm doing this as a live stream, I found myself kind of in the process of writing a video, like a full-on, fully recorded, fully edited video. And then halfway through, I kind of realized, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm putting effort into something that's just going to be a predictions thing that might not even turn out to be true. So I'm putting effort into something that just might be worthless. I'm not a news channel. I don't make like 10-minute Halo shill reviews, but if they didn't know we're here before, they do now. I realized why not just stream it? Why not just stream my predictions? I'll level with you guys. Oh, sorry, water went down the wrong pipe. Give me a sec. I'm telling you, I'm not used to this, chat. I'm not used to doing stuff like this. I don't know how Twitch streamers can do it. I guess they have to like exert their rage into like their pets. They have to like electrocute their dogs. Like fucking Palpatine. I'll be honest with you guys. Pat and Private were the ones who convinced me to try and do a stream. And I remember when they were trying to tell me to do a stream, I'm like, what what the hell would I even stream about? Like, would I just play games? And, like, I'm working on videos too. Like, is that going to distract from my video schedule? So I sat on that idea for a while. And then this happened. This recent thing happened. This announcement. It just hit me like, oh yeah, I can quick do this. So yeah, full disclosure. This is only going to be a like hour-ish, couple hour stream maybe. That's, by the way, that's the background music of Oni that you're listening to in the background, just to get some good ambiance going. Hope it's not too loud. Let me know if the audio is either too quiet or too loud. I don't know these things. But there's a lot. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot I want to discuss. And I thought this was a good opportunity. I really just wanted to... I just want to... I hate to say it. I want to say I told you so. I literally just want that. That's all I want. So, I think that's what we're going to do tonight. Thoughts on BF6. People have been asking. They've been asking my thoughts on Battlefield 6. It's the game EA made to get Battlefield back in the public conscious. They have done it. They've made Battlefield 3 again. So. But yeah, no. Halo talk. We're focusing on Halo. We're focusing on ranting about Halo because I'm a Bungie fanboy. As you guys all know, I'm a Bungie fanboy. Bungie can do no wrong. 343 is Satan. 343 is the devil. They're the demon. And we're gonna rant about that tonight. They'll change the library for the better. So I have a prediction. Okay. Halo predictions. It's spoiler, it's not looking good. So there are 2 games. I don't think people are quite understanding that. We're getting 2 Halo games. And there have been a lot of leaks, quote unquote leaks, mostly rumors, probably a lot of them probably baseless. There are some real interesting ones though. There are some ones that I've looked at and I've kind of have to grapple with the fact that they might be real. And I don't know. I don't want to quite dismiss them. So the 2 big leaks, and first off, a lot of these come from a guy named Rebs Gaming. I don't want to say too much about him because he is equal parts a seemingly trustworthy Halo insider as much as he is just a straight up Halo promoter. I don't want to say the S word, but he is a let's just say I think he's a little more positive about Halo than I am. The state of modern Halo than I think anyone else here is. And so he has leaked a lot of this stuff. A lot of those news stories that you guys have been seeing have come directly from him. So I don't think people realize that. The Halo having generative AI, the Halo being a CE remake, the Halo having whatever has mostly come from this guy. And so 2 of the leaks that he's done is he has talked about 2 internal projects, both internally referred to as Project Foundry and Project Ecker. We are getting 2 games. I'm making a little text document here because I need to record all of this. We're getting 2 games. Foundry. That's the remake. That is the Halo CE remake. Any mention of Project Foundry, that is what people are referring to with the Combat Evolved Unreal Engine 5 remake. Ecker This is going to be the Halo Live Service game. This is going to be a Halo Live Service multiplayer venture. I'm imagining it's probably going to be free to play. And when there have been announcements that 343 is working on something that is very similar to Fortnite. That's what this is going to be. That's what this is. This is Project Ecker. Ecker and Foundry. And I've heard rumors of there being a Halo 7. Which must just be like notes at this point. Like, it must just be like ideas for a potential script. I can't imagine it is in any level of true pre-production. Which I don't think we're getting. I don't think we're getting Halo 7. I think we're getting, at most, we're getting a remake and a live service game, and I think they're just going to build from there if those are in any way commercially successful. That remains to be seen. But that's kind of the basics of my predictions. I'm basing it off of that. The idea that we are getting two games. One is very clearly a live service game. One is very clearly a cinematic Halo Combat Evolved remake. And yeah, there's a bit to talk about. So this Friday, we're getting a showcase. So what do I think we're going to see at the showcase? I don't think we're actually going to see much. I really don't think we're going to get a proper game reveal. I think at most, we're going to get guys sitting in a chair talking about their projects, spliced with game footage of like very early prototyped wire mesh, like those clips that you would see in some of the old Bungie or 343 teasers where you've got like very basic level geometry, stuff that's like untextured. Maybe there's like a few NPCs interacting, like very, very brief snapshots of like rendered player models, along with a ton of concept art. I think that's what we're going to get. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Because it doesn't seem to be a proper reveal. It seems to be a, like, the 343 community people are going to, like, sit around and talk about stuff. The same thing they did when they announced all the stuff that they were taking out of Infinite those years ago. I think that's what we're going to get. We're not going to... I'd be shocked if we got a full-on, like, teaser trailer for the Combat Evolved remake. I don't think we're going to see that until, like, early next year. And even then, I think that's generous. Some of you guys are going really wild in the chat. How does one follow up the legendary Infinite? They don't. There have been rumors, though. There have been rumors that they are trying to get a Halo 7 off the ground, and I think the idea is that they are going to do the same thing Halo Infinite did and try and reboot it and start again. Try and start another storyline that has very little connection to the previous story. But they can't do that because it's impossible to do that. But I don't think that has legs. I don't think Halo 7 is a reality we ever have to grapple with. Yeah, exactly. Who's the enemy in Halo 7? The what are they called? I straight up can't remember. What are they called? What was the lady in Halo Infinite? What was her name? What was she called? This isn't a bit. I legitimately don't remember what she was. The Endless. Oh, that's what it was. Oh my god. 343's naming scheme. Holy shit. Yeah, The Endless. I've got, there were comments on my Halo Infinite video who are people who were mad at me for not understanding The Endless. The point the pointless. There needs to be like a Halo parody game. There needs to be like Do you guys remember in in the lead up to the game Bulletstorm, they made like a little free to play demo that was like a parody of Call of Duty. I need that for Halo, for like 343 era Halo. Just all of this like grandiose bullshit terminology for space magic. The timeless. You guys don't know, like, because I do. It doesn't seem like it. I do read the comments. I do go through the comments just to see what people are chatting about. But no, you guys may be surprised at the fucking shit that people comment on my videos. I got one. There have been at least a couple who have commented that Halo Studios is now a brand new thing. It's like, it's not 343 anymore, Bunker Dweller. It's Halo Studios. They're a brand new studio. They're gonna turn things around. So, it's all just funny. Master Sergeant Shooter Person. I'm glad someone remembers it. Bloody screen, so real. And ironically, we've looped all the way back around. The gaming community chat on those military 2010s era cinematic shooters so badly that the industry kind of had to like stop doing them. And I think we've looped all the way back around to now kids who were like, 7 when Black Ops 2 came out they're like, no, I like those types of games. I find that interesting. I find it interesting that I'm living long enough to see the industry go in loops. Anyway, back on topic. So, I'd be shocked if we get a teaser this Friday. We might. I don't know. I would imagine Microsoft has learned their lesson with teasing a game and realizing that they now have to delay the game by an extra year. The lead up to Halo Infinite was just arduous. The constant like teasers and just bullshit. And I think that's why we haven't heard any real news about this in like 4 years since Halo Infinite launched. Like, they have been very hush-hush about showing anything. But the most they've had to show for it was like a really shitty Unreal Engine demo. I say demo. It wasn't a demo. It was a diorama. They imported Halo Infinite models into Unreal and filmed it, and then uploaded it to YouTube. And then the Act Man made a video saying Halo's back, and then everyone killed themselves. So I don't know. You can tell I'm a little cynical, chat. Don't worry, that's gonna be a recurring theme. They're supposed to be in order. I don't know if these are in order. Are they? They might be. Okay, so a lot has happened. So we were kind of sitting on our thumbs waiting for any info to come out, and this happened. Glenn Israel, very on the nose name, but he has left 343. And just also, by the way, it's always going to be 343. They can rebrand all they want. They can call themselves Halo Studios. DICE can call themselves Battlefield Studios. They're always going to be 343. They're always going to be DICE. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. First time I'm catching your live stream. Good to see you again. Well, I mean, this is the first live stream. So you're catching the first one. But yeah, he has left, and his message has been very cryptic, and this has led to a lot of speculation. He doesn't talk when he doesn't write about like bad working conditions or like anything of that. He talks specifically about the industry, the state of the industry, the illusion of security, and trading away like dignity, ethics, and values. And he's an artist, so there's a lot of reading between the lines here. And then this has started to become a talking point as of like the last week. Is that there are Halo insiders who are saying that Halo Studios is using generative AI woven into every aspect. Reading through the article, and I actually have the article here. I actually have it. So I read through it. It doesn't seem to be as bad as people are saying, but it is still pretty bad. So when they talk about generative AI, they are also including things like procedural generation. So this was kind of a clarification that they had to make. Doesn't clarify everything, but at least it's enough to be like, okay, this might just be like procedural generation. This might be things like quickly generating terrain for an environment, which implies, hey, this game's going to have large open environments. Which then begs the question, are we getting a fucking open world Combat Evolved remake? Are we really getting that? Yeah, has that ever worked? And once again, this comes from Rebs Gaming. So a lot of it comes from him. I need people to understand all of this comes from him. And it also comes from these fuckers. From the GameSpot. Or the Game Post. All these articles have come from them. The AI one, the Fortnite one, they all come from these guys. And they seem to be taking info from Rebs Gaming. Or at the very least, they're clarifying their articles from his sources. So I need people to understand that. This is very much a game of Chinese telephone that we're experiencing right now. But that being said, it doesn't debunk the actual quote that we got, the actual source quote. Because Rebs does clarify, he tried to say, no, this is actually just procedural generation. Something that has been used a long time in games. Fucking Minecraft has it. The original Oblivion has it, to a certain extent. Daggerfall has it. But also, the quote itself then seems very misleading if we actually read the full quote. So, generative AI is apparently woven into every aspect of development. This is from an insider. Such as enemy AI and terrain generation. I think what they're mostly doing is that, and then touching up on work with human hands. So, okay, on that on its own. Okay, that makes sense. It's like, we need to generate a lot of terrain. We need to do so in a short amount of time. Also, enemy AI. Yeah, procedural generation. I totally understand that. Things like creating a large environment, creating a large, naturalistic environment full of grass, terrain, vegetation, whatever. You guys know how games are made. The AI as well is interesting. Enemy AI. So that might imply like dynamic enemy units moving through a terrain, moving through an area. Not quite the scripted like waves that you would get in Halo 1. I don't know. That might just be me reading too much into this. But then there's this part that kind of gives it away. Also, developers are expected to meet similar or quicker deadlines. And the only means to do so is through the use of AI, whether that's mundane tasks like scheduling things or writing emails, all the way up to actual game development. This is the that's the I would like to know more sentence of this entire article. What does that mean? All the way up to actual game development. What the fuck does that mean? Are we talking like actual vibe coding? Are we talking about that? Like the most nightmarish possibility. If there was a company to have to resort to AI coding, it would be Halo Studios. I'll just it's just funny though. Developers are expected to meet similar quicker deadlines. 343 has never been on a deadline. 343 has had all the wiggle room they could possibly ask for, and this is what we're expected to to believe is that, oh no, they have too many deadlines. Assume the worst. Yeah, since they hired contractors, that means the game is going to be so fucking bad. It'll actually be illegal. It'll break PCs. Yeah, they are. They are actually contracting studios. I forget the name of the studio. Let me look. Hold on, chat. Let me pull it back up again. I hate to say it. I was listening to some of Reb's videos in preparation for this. Because a lot of the rumors that we see circulating around come directly from him, because he apparently has a pretty good insider for 343. I forget the name. Vindicator Studios, I think. I think they are the ones who are already being contracted. Or is it someone else? Let me check. Hold on, chat. It's something with a V. It's something with a V. I need to verify it. But they are already contracting. They're already outsourcing their game. Creative Affinity, my bad. It might be Creative Affinity. Creative Affinity, they mostly work on multiplayer stuff. That's they are usually a multiplayer studio. They're the studio that people go to. It's like, oh, we need to quick make a multiplayer suite for our game. Because that's what Max Hoberman did with Halo 2. So then he obviously left to form Creative Affinity. They've worked on, you guys might be surprised by all the stuff they've worked on. They did the Doom 2016 multiplayer. But yeah, it's been a lot. Anyway, but yeah, this for sure there's going to be outsourcing. There's already rumors, mentions that other studios are being wrapped into this nightmare cycle of Virtuous. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, chat. Vishnu. Virtuous. Yeah, so they have been confirmed to be working on Halo. But I'm not exactly sure to what extent, if they are going to be working alongside 343, or if they're going to be taking control. From the sounds of it, it's going to be just like how Halo Infinite was. 343 is going to be leading the boat, and they're just going to be outsourcing random chunks of their game to like some other studio. Here, you use it. You studio over there, you work on this part of the game. You studio over there, you work on this other part, and then you put it together, and you have a Frankenstein. But yeah, kind of the base rumor so far. Some other stuff too, but mostly the AI stuff. The AI stuff, that's the thing people are latching onto because it's easy. It's easy to latch onto hating the AI stuff, which I'm totally for. It's AI bros are like the most cringiest, just embarrassing group of people. And I find it funny just how toxic AI has become. Just the concept of your product being tangentially related to AI is considered like so taboo that people are just like averse to it, which is hilarious. Marty himself. Said so we good to decanonize all 343 slot. Good old Marty. I don't think it made it into the podcast. I mentioned before we started recording, I think I joked with Pat in private that Marty to me is sort of like Mark Kern to Pat. It's like he's kind of cringe, but he's my cringe. If that makes sense. But man, I'm already I'm already off in the weeds here. So generative AI, pretty much it's what I think we're going to get with the AI. What I think the AI is going to be there for is I think we are getting AI art. I think we're getting AI concept art. I think we're going to learn that they have used AI to design stuff, to design enemies, to design guns, design environments and locations. I think the very concept of the very concept art of the game is going to be have some aspect of AI, or it's going to be very heavily used with generative AI. Otherwise, procedural generation, like I don't understand why they would say that. I don't understand like why, if it was something as simple as procedural generation, why would this even constitute as AI? And also, more importantly, no one has fucking come out from Halo Studios and said, no, this is not true. If there was really just procedural generation, here's what you do. I am Microsoft Halo Studio spokesman. I don't know. I don't even know who's even still at the studio anymore. It's not. God, it's so many people have left. But fucking Phil Spencer could walk up on stage, could record a little video or a little interview saying, we at Microsoft appreciate and are excited to work with our LLMs and to further progress our advancement within AI technology. That being said, we are here to clarify that rumors of AI being used for our next Halo title are entirely unfounded. The AI that we use in day-to-day work includes things like calendar scheduling as well as emails. Otherwise, as far as artistry, programming, we do not use generative AI. We dabble in things such as procedural generation, which tools have been offered to us for the last few decades, hardly constitutes as a game being developed by AI. Completely easy statement to make. Something that you could just fucking whip out of your butt and throw it on Twitter. Let everyone relax. Like, go, hey, don't worry. This isn't going to happen. Everyone sighs in relief, and all of a sudden you're now the good guy. It's Halo Studios is now the good guy. Very easy win. But they haven't. They've been radio silent. They haven't said a word. Which maybe it's because it's the weekend. Like, that could totally be part of it. Like, it could just be the fact that everyone's at home. But I don't have the highest confidence. I think there is going to be extensive AI usage. I think we're going to learn that we're gonna learn that AI helped redesign some of the environments, some of the weapons, some of the designs. I also don't know how much it's going to be split across the two projects, because lest we forget, we have two Halo games. I would say if AI is being used, it's definitely more than just procedural generation. Possibly art generation. Specifically concept art. Environments. Things like environments, things like enemies, things like weapon designs. Those are kind of the simplest things I would think of. Hopefully not vibe coding. So it's 343, so you never know. Additionally, I do think AI, if we're getting generative AI art, I think AI is going to be used more extensively in the multiplayer suite. This makes the most sense. Things like, think about it. Things like weapon designs, like bizarre, weird weapon designs, bizarre armor designs too. Weapon skins, cosmetics. This is stuff that would make more sense in a live service multiplayer game. Not so much a Halo remake. Because if you think about Halo Combat Evolved, we're talking about a game that has a limited weapon roster, limited enemy roster. It has only one Spartan armor. And already has its environments mapped out. So the idea of using AI and procedural generation, like, I could see procedural generation just being used for the Halo City remake. So Halo City remake, if there is a game that's only using procedural generation, that's probably going to be it. Otherwise, I think Eckers is the AI game. 100%. I think if there is a game that has the AI art, it's going to be Eckers. It just makes sense. Do you guys remember Halo Online? You guys remember all the weird, wacky, like, weapon variations that they tried to fit into that game? And all the armor designs, too? Before some geniuses took that code and remade it into proper Halo 3 assets. That's what's going to happen for Eckers. I think that's what we're thinking of as far as like, I don't know, art assets, AI generated art assets. I think 343 is going to use AI to generate them a huge list of Halo Spartan armor, Halo weapon variations, Halo skins, and they're going to use that for a live service multiplayer suite. So let's actually get into that. Let's get more into what exactly are these two games going to be? What exactly are we going to get? Also, I'm going to put on a little more relaxing music track. Putting on some classic Myth, The Fallen Lords. By the way, I mentioned this to Pat in private. By the way, listen to that podcast if you guys haven't already. It was very fun chatting with them. So for my Halo 2 video, I purposefully only used music that was either from Halo 2 or prior. I did not want to use any like Halo 3 or onward music tracks. I only used Halo 2 and older. In addition, when I made my 343 Halo reviews, I was very careful on what classic Halo tracks I used because I didn't want them playing over like fucking Halo 4 or Halo Infinite gameplay. I was very careful about what music tracks I used when... So I didn't want to play like Marty O'Donnell, Martin Salvatore, beautiful background music. As you guys are watching an ugly SN Halo 4 cutscene. I don't want to cross those wires. I don't want to make that. Maybe this might be constituting as like deceptive editing. Maybe that's not the right word. So like, I'm trying to think of the right words here. Like subliminal messaging. That's it. That might be counted as that. I don't know. I'm just curious to know if any of you guys have actually noticed that. Because I hate those fucking Halo channels who just play old classic Halo 3 or Halo 2 music as some ugly clip of Halo Infinite multiplayer footage is playing. It's like, these two things don't belong. These two things should not be touching. Halo Infinite does not deserve to be played alongside this beautiful music. So, but yes, let's talk about the two games. So, first, I think let's talk about Ecker. We don't know much about this. What we do know is it will be a live service game. I should probably make these bullet points. And by the way, I'm not using Google Docs. I'm not using Word. I'm using OpenOffice. Fully live service multiplayer game. It was compared to Fortnite. I don't think it'll be a battle royale. I think this this comparison was only made to demonstrate that it's going to be a live service free-to-play game. I think this is going to be their I don't know, I need to figure out the right word for this. This is going to be their throw everything at the wall game. Lots of skins. Lots of skins. Lots of just bullshit armor. Crossovers. I think we might start seeing Halo crossover stuff. Halo's already been shown in Helldivers. I think it's more than likely we're gonna get a fucking Helldiver, Spartan armor helmet. Because the game is not canon, it's only going to be multiplayer. So 343 will just be able to do whatever they want. They will think they can do whatever they want at least. No worry about having to mess with art styles. I think this is going to be the like comparing it to Fortnite. People have interpreted that as it being Battle Royale. I don't think so. I think when they compared it to Fortnite, they're comparing it to a live service free-to-play game. A live service free-to-play game with just a shit ton of crossover content and fucking rainbow skins, all that crap. Like, we are getting a full-on Halo free-to-play, just throw it at the wall, throw whatever we can at this game to make money. We are going to have colorful rainbow skins. We're going to have armor that is like, we're going to get like Gears of War armor. We're going to get Helldivers armor. We're going to get like a Killzone armor set. And they've tried to do that already. They tried to do it to Halo MCC, which I thought was disgusting. As soon as they started putting Halo 4 armor into Halo 3, I thought, like, man, fuck you, 343. Fuck you. People defended it too. There are like shill channels who are like, actually, I like the new Halo 4 armor. I think they're going to try and do that. They're going to try and do what they tried to do for MCC, but they're going to do it as a business model. They're not just going to have, because for all of MCC's faults, which are extensive, they are going to try and make this Project Eckers be a, like, I don't know, like a full-on just money-making scheme. Microsoft need a live service game. They really do. They need a game to make them money. They can't just make a single-player only game. They need a game that is a moneymaker, probably trashy. I think their problem with Halo Infinite is they tried that. I think that's what Halo Infinite was supposed to be, or at the very least turned into near the end of development. The problem with Halo Infinite is they were all tied together. Halo Infinite was tied to the open world game. The open world game looks the way it does because it's a fucking open world game. The reason Halo Infinite looks unfinished and it looks like one of those Nintendo hire this man Unreal Engine, Unity Engine tech demos is because it had to accommodate a large open world, which no Halo has ever done for fucking good reason. So the multiplayer was stuck looking like that too. The multiplayer was stuck within the Halo Infinite framework. And for those who remember, the Halo Infinite netcode, the Halo Infinite multiplayer never worked. It was always buggy. It was always broken. I'm glad, by the way, I'm glad you asked about release dates. I think people come, they're both coming next year. So I'm conflicted on that. I'm conflicted on release dates. If there is to be a 2026 game, it's going to be Ecker. That's my weird out there prediction. I think 343 ideally want to make Halo Combat Evolved remake a 2026 game. They do. It's a 25th anniversary for Xbox, 25th anniversary for Halo Combat Evolved. It is the perfect opportunity to do that. Problem is 343 we're talking about. We're talking about a company that had to delay a game a year because their gameplay demo looked like shit, that people made fun of it. I don't think people understand. The internet bullied 343 so badly after that first Halo Infinite gameplay demo that they had to delay Halo Infinite an extra year. That was supposed to be a 2020 game. I don't know. I predict that one of these two games is going to be delayed. And I think they may just try and release Eckers. I really do. I think Ecker is going to be a smaller, cheaper live service free-to-play game. And as such, it's going to have lower expectations. I think it's going to have less content. I think it's going to be easier for them to push out, to just kind of shit out content for that game, to slowly add new shit to it as they're still working on getting Combat Evolved remake up to release. Also, I don't know why you would release two games in the same year. Like, that's not a good marketing strategy. Like, there's a reason why you space those out. So I think if there's a 2026 game, it'll be Ecker. I think it'll be this exact same thing that happened with Halo Infinite, where they released Halo Infinite's free-to-play multiplayer first, and then they released the campaign like months later. You guys remember when Halo Infinite's multiplayer launched, how everyone pretended how it was good? Everyone pretended like, oh, this is really good, you guys. This is actually really good. And it took a few months. It took a few months for everyone to realize, oh no, this is actually garbage. Craig the Brute was so funny because it was them trying to be like, guys, we're in on the joke. The joke isn't on us. We're part of the joke. No, you aren't. 343. You're the joke is that it looks awkward and bad. That's what makes it funny. That's part of the joke that you guys don't fucking understand. Okay. But yeah, that's what I think Ecker. I think Ecker is going to be the 2026 game. I also, if we're making more predictions, it's going to be the game that they're going to give like light, constant drip feeds of content. It kind of similar to what we got with Infinite. A nicely made Forge map every couple months, a few weapons skins every week, a few new armor sets every season. Battle passes, and free to play. Battle Royale. I think it's a possibility, but at the same time, I don't think if it is on the coming down the pipeline, I don't think it's going to be there on launch. That's a BR is something that's they're totally gonna just save for a later date. Might have Forge, but I think the same. I don't know. I think same deal might be the case as was the case with Halo Infinite and Halo 5. Also, no firefight. I think 343 does not want firefight. With Halo Infinite, it was very clear that they had no idea how to implement a firefight mode. Because they had to make it like a fucking like ugly King of the Hill mode. I did reinstall Halo Infinite just to try the firefight, and it is not good. It's the same multiplayer maps, which first off, that was the deal with Halo Reach. Halo Reach borrowed campaign missions for their firefight maps. Same with ODST. So reusing maps and areas, whatever. It's funny though because they couldn't reuse campaign missions because their fucking campaign is set in an open world where every location looks the exact same. So they couldn't just do that because all the maps would look the same. They would all look like Forge World maps from Halo Reach if they tried to do campaign missions. Ooh, that's a good demonic. That's a great, yeah. No playable elites. No playable elites. I think crossplay. And specifically, I don't know about Switch 2. I'm just throwing that out there. I think what I'm actually going to think might happen, what I'm actually thinking is if there is to be a Switch 2 Halo, it's only going to be Ecker. I don't think the Combat Evolved remake is going to be for Switch 2. Entirely off of how performance intensive it's probably going to be. Fucking Halo Infinite could not run on a Switch. I don't think Halo Infinite's open world campaign, I don't think could run properly on a Switch 2. I don't have much faith in a Combat Evolved Unreal Engine 5 remaster remake. Yeah, they are allergic to the ODSTs. Well, because that's what the Spartan 4s... They tried to make the Spartan 4s as ODSTs and it never worked. But yeah. Only multiplayer. Only Spartans fighting other Spartans. It's not canon. It's no story. Just multiplayer. That's why it's compared to Fortnite. And yeah, I think that's as much as I have to say about Ecker. It didn't make much sense. In hindsight, it really didn't make much sense hearing that Microsoft was working on a Halo game that was only a single player remake. Because in hindsight, it makes a little bit more sense now. Because we are for sure getting. I would bet a lot of money we're getting 2 Halo games. Free to play multiplayer game, single player, full price, $70 fucking dollar, maybe $80. They might be that greedy. Single player only Halo CE remake. So let's talk about that remake. So this is Project Foundry. This is the Halo CE remake, and it's pretty much been confirmed at this point. Like, we're kind of just openly talking about it now. And this was predicted a while ago, and it makes sense. It really does make. I hate to say it, it makes sense. It's Capcom making RE remake. It is EA making the Dead Space remake. It is a IP that Microsoft it's an IP that Microsoft has that they need to find something to regenerate it with. How do you do that? Just remake a game that people already like, because it's easy. It's chat. Do you guys have any understanding of how many times in the comment sections of my videos there is some Zoomer or some group of Zoomers, maybe even Gen Alpha, I don't know how young it goes, of these kids who are saying, man, this game looks cool. I wish they would remake it. This is a trend. This is something that's happening, and I don't think we have an understanding of just how bad it's going to be. But yes, what is it? What is Project Foundry? Halo CE remake. Single player only. No online. No online features. I don't think there's going to be like online scoreboards, like the way in old Halo games, how you could play through a level with scoring turned on and you could compete against your friends. No co-op. I'm fully predicting it. No co-op. Not split screen, not even online. I think what we're going to get, I'll talk more about this as I get into what kind of remake I think it's going to be, because I have some thoughts. But it's going to be the type of game that co-op would not work in the same way that co-op would not work in, say, like a Resident Evil 2, you know, or like a Dead Space remake. These are games that are so linear and so tied to a single character interacting through set pieces and cinematics that it would be impossible, and QuickTime events too. It would be impossible to get multiple players into one session. Big budget. This is the basket that Microsoft's putting all their eggs in. This is going to be their attempt to reboot the series. $70, maybe $80. I could see them trying to sell it for $80, though with no multiplayer. That's a big ask. Yeah, Halo Rachel, the Master Chief Collection. Master Chief Collection, it's kind of worthy of its own video, if I'm being honest. Like it's the type of thing where I'm like, man, they really tried to fuck with this. Really, and they fucked people over really badly. But no one talks about it because it's better now. Like, because they fixed a lot of the problems that they created themselves, people just don't care. I get shit for it. I get shit for talking about MCC's problems because people think that it's just better now. So why even bother? But yeah. Cinematic reinterpretation of Halo CE. What do I mean by that? So first things first. Very linear cinematic shooter. Lots of QTEs. We are getting Halo Last of Us. I actually think that's a good comparison. Think of that. Think of those Sony movie games. Think of all of those PS4, PS5, Sony movie games. All those games that are like constantly taking away control from the player. Constantly. You know those games where you have to crawl through a little tight area? You have to crawl between like two walls? like Callisto Protocol. Think of that. That is the type of cinematic game we are getting. Not as open or as sandboxy as Halo CE. It is going to be a movie game, basically. Possibly with just larger environments. I think that's going to be their big selling point. I think they're going to try and trick people into thinking it's going to be like an open world. I think it's going to be a pseudo open world. I think it's going to be levels with large open environments, but it's still going to be pretty linear. I like imagine Metro Exodus. I think that's actually a really good comparison. Large open levels that might have a little bit of non-linearity, but are ultimately forcing the player through narrow sections and areas. That's kind of my prediction. Is I think they're going to try and trick people, similar to what they did with Halo Infinite, where Halo Infinite was sold entirely off of its open worldness, off of the idea of here's a giant Halo ring you can explore. In reality, it was just a bunch of floating islands, and it played like a really bad Far Cry. Ooh, that's a good one. M or T? I'm going to say, first off, I'll go back to Ecker. Ecker for sure is going to have a T rating. I'll have to think about that. I don't know. If they have the Flood, I think they may be forced to go for an M rating. I also think that might be used as a selling point. I think Microsoft might come out and say, look at us, guys. We have an M rating. We're back to Halo's roots, baby. It would be a good opportunity to show off the Flood. Good opportunity to re-show the Flood as a very scary, terrifying, monstrous threat. But going back to what I was saying, cinematic reinterpretation of Halo CE. What does that mean? So I think with levels, in regards to it being a remake, what about the levels? I think we are going to see it's going to be a case where the levels are going to be fairly unrecognizable. This is not a remaster. We are not getting a game where you will be able to switch between back and forth with the same engine, and you'll be able to see like, oh, here's this part of the level. Here's this part of the level. We are getting a full-on, complete overhaul of the levels. I think there's going to be a few noticeable like arenas and areas that people remember they're going to be like mostly remastered. I don't want to say untouched, but they're definitely going to be left recognizable because they need those screenshots. They need those fucking YouTube videos of guys who make comparison videos about here's what the game originally looked like and here's what the game looks like now. Like another example is I think that first Forerunner base that you get to on the mission Halo. That's going to be like remade 1-to-1 perfectly identically to how it was in the original. Same with the probably same with Silent Cartographer. Also, I'm going to say same with Control Room. Those few, I think, are going to be remade 1-to-1 because Microsoft, they want those screenshots. They want people to post screenshots of here's Halo Combat Evolved. Here's what it looks like now with ray tracing, DLSS, all this bullshit. All this bloom, all this color correction. It could be cool if they definitely fuck it up. Bennett, calm down. We're not that part of the stream yet. I'm not that lucid quite yet. That's up tuber. I do feel in my in our April Fool's video, I really did not hide who I was referring to when I mocked the guy who constantly shills Halo Infinite while at the same time posting about how he cannot play the game. It's like, and he's also Australian, and everyone's like, "Oh, I wonder who you're talking about." It's like if only there wasn't just one person who you're clearly describing. But yeah, a few recognizable areas are going to be remade. I would even go so far as to say a bunch of recognizable arenas and areas. On the flip side, though, plenty of areas are going to be redesigned, just entirely redesigned. I'm talking like you're going to be wondering if this is even the same part of the level. It's going to look completely different. It's going to have a different layout. Library, that's an obvious one. That's the one that they're clearly going to try and redo. I don't think they would admit it. I think they'll just try and redesign it. I think, and obviously, you know how that looks as marketing chat. People are going to talk about, oh, they fixed the library. I can see that hidden Xperia. I've never had to say his name out loud. Oh my god, I just realized that. I've never had to pronounce that fucking YouTube channel name. But I can see I can see that video. I can see his hidden Xperia. I can see his video. Hey guys, the Halo remake replaces the library. That's mean. I'm sorry, man. I should not have done that. I'm really sorry for doing that. If there's a god out there, I'm really sorry for what I just did. You can smite me right now. I'm really sorry. That was bad. But no, it's, you know what I'm talking about though. You're gonna get those videos talking about, you know, they fixed the library, you guys. They fixed it. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sure he's nice in real life. I'm sure they're all nice guys in real life. I'm sure they're all wonderful people. We're just making YouTube videos. We're just talking about video games. This is none of this is serious. We're just having fun here. Some of us more than others. But yeah, library they're going to redo. I think things like copy-paste hallways, those are going to be overhauled. I'm thinking mostly like remember in Pillar of Autumn how you would have those like copy-paste hallways, like areas and like kind of sections that if it would feel like you were just walking through the same area again, or like lots of very like labyrinthian tunnels and hallways, like on Truth and Wreck as well. That's another good example. Stuff like that, I think they'll just overhaul it. They'll make tunnels like little bit more windier. They might add new rooms, new side areas. Stuff like that is going to be completely overhauled. I think that's a good point. Areas connecting. I think areas connecting these iconic arena sections are going to be redesigned. The iconic arenas themselves, probably going to be left as is. I also think, because on the topic of it being a remake, I don't think they're going to add in new enemies or weapons. I think we're getting the same roster. We're getting the same roster as in the original. I can see the controversy if they tried to add like brutes in Halo Combat Evolved. As much as people pretend they want brutes in Halo Combat Evolved, as much as people pretend with all those like, here's my Halo Combat Evolved rebalancing mod where I've added in 10 new weapons and 500 new enemy variations. I think if we're doing a Halo remake, they're going to keep it simple. Don't add. I was thinking like, would they add in the cut enemies too? Things like engineers. Like everyone knows that engineers have been a cut Halo 1 enemy for years, for all the way back to Halo 1. But no, we're not getting engineers or brutes. We're not getting weapons or vehicles from the 99 prototype either. This is a pure Halo Combat Evolved cinematic remake. They are not going to try and re-implement all of these lost cut mechanics and enemies and weapons. That being said, I think cut levels might be implemented, but they're only going to be small sections. We are not going to get like giant, long, meandering levels that were in the original design documents for Halo Combat Evolved. I think small little moments and extra areas to a mission might be included. No, stop that. But actually, SPV3 is a good example. SPV3 is a good example of what not to do in a Halo 3 remake. In fact, I'm actually going to add that. Basically, opposite of SPV3. There was. Do you guys remember? This was like pre-MCC on PC. This was like around a little bit before that. There was that weird window of time where everyone kind of pretended that SPV3 was this amazing Halo mod. It was like, it's the Halo 1 that Bungie wished they had made. I remember that. I distinctly remember that period. And I think only now are we finally able to get away from that. And that mod plagued any Halo Combat Evolved discussions. But yeah, regards to it being a remake, kind of going over what I've just said, levels are going to be overhauled. Iconic sections are going to remain, but the areas interconnecting those iconic arenas are going to be what's probably most overhauled, which makes sense. In Halo Combat Evolved, you have iconic areas that you remember. But there was also a lot of like copy-paste corridors and, you know, linear pathways in between those iconic sections. I think those interconnecting pathways are going to be what's overhauled. And one last thing. Cinematic moments like QTEs and scripted events, they're going to be added to levels that did not exist, that did not exist in prior. So things like, I'm trying to think of some examples here. Like you would have more like cinematic cutscenes or stuff that would occur in an area where in game you were just walking through it. Here's an example. I think in 343 Guilty Spark, in the remake, there, for example, is going to be a section where Master Chief is going to walk into a room, and it's going to be a cutscene, and he's going to see that all the Covenant are dead, and they're like ripped apart, and there's like bullets and like needler rounds left scattered around, and that's going to be the cutscene. The cutscene's going to be him reacting, kind of looking around, trying to figure out what happened. Then he's going to move on, and then it's going to cut back to gameplay. I think in Halo Combat Evolved, that was just a room that a player would walk through. In the remake, for example, I could see them trying to turn that into like a cutscene, turn that into here's a cinematic moment. If that makes sense. In areas where players would just walk through a quiet, empty arena, might be expanded into, here's a cinematic moment. Here's something where Chief has to interact with something, or a cutscene plays. That's just an example. But then we have ultimately an interesting topic. So I think overall campaign. Also, I should add before I move off of this, because there's a lot to predict that I think, and this is just me going off of trends. Campaign will be much longer. I think levels will be longer and bigger. Cutscene bloat. Yes, that I think we're going to see a lot of that. Levels will be longer and bigger. One-off sections will be expanded upon. I'm trying to think some examples like the Banshee sequence on Two Betrayals. That's going to be turned into a much bigger mission, or there's going to be a bigger focus of, like, say, Banshee combat, because in the original game there actually wasn't that much flying around in a Banshee. It was really like a couple sections in that level where you could fly around in a Banshee, and they were very short. They were very, very brief. In a remake, I could see that being expanded into, here's a full-on Banshee sequence where you're flying through the canyon, and you're like, Cortana's yelling at you like, Chief, dodge, look out. And Chief does like a cool barrel roll, and he goes, I did it. Stuff like that. I might be a little cynical, but that's what I'm predicting. By the way, a lot of these predictions, we're not going to know these. I just realized we're not going to know a lot of these until these games actually come out. Like, we're not going to learn all of this on Friday. I know that. But I just want to be the guy who said, I told you so. But yeah. The Flood. I predict controversial changes will be made to the Flood. Let me expand on that. There will be more sections with Covenant and Flood, not just Flood. I think they're going to try and reduce their role, because I think the impression that I've always gotten The impression a lot of people get from Halo Combat Evolved is that the flood sections are typically the weakest. I think flood sections are going to be overhauled with just more Covenant. I think that's what they're going to try and do. Covenant are going to be more present, more prominent. Otherwise, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I think I don't know. This might be copium, but let me. I'll just add this as is. This may be cope. Flood might remain grotesque and terrifying. I think if there's things that they could expand upon, it's going to be this. They're going to make the Flood, knowing what they know in Halo 2 and Halo 3. Flood are going to be more fleshy, more bloody. They are going to be the terrifying Lovecraftian monster that we eventually learned that they were in the later Halos. In addition, I think they're going to try and make it a little more clear that what they're doing in Halo 1 is they are trying to form into a grave mind. That's been added, that's been retconned after the fact. When Captain Keyes was being assimilated, it's been retconned that he's being turned into a pro grave mind. At the time, they did not know that. They very clearly did not know what they were doing, or they clearly did not think that's what they were doing. I think the implication was just that they were slowly like absorbing Keys. I don't think the idea was, oh, we're turning this fleshy biomass into a grave mind. But I think that's the idea. I think it's going to be more of a flood focus, same way that it was in Halo 2 and Halo 3. The grave mind became a present threat in those two games. He became a recurring antagonist and a very big focus of the story. In Halo 1, Flood really were just zombies. They were space zombies. But I think that's what they're going to do. Going to be more than just zombies. They'll become a Lovecraftian threat, as they were in 2 and 3. I think that's a safe bet. I also think this might mean that the CE Remake is going to be rated M. This might also be copium. I could be totally wrong about this. I think Eckers being a multiplayer-only suite, that's easy to make rated T. Because you don't have to do blood. You don't have to do, like, gore. It's just guys in power armor shooting at each other. Like, they could basically be robots for all we know. So I think they're going to try and make that rated T. Halo Combat Evolved Remake, I think they're going to try and push for an M rating. But yeah, I think that's what I think of the actual, like, campaign content. Here's where we get to the controversial stuff. Remaking CE's story. This is where I think they're going to mess with stuff. I'm gonna be referencing RE2 and the Dead Space remake a lot. I think that is what they have in mind. Think of those two remakes. Pretty much, like, you can call them remakes. There's areas of those games that are identical to how they were in the original. There's parts of the story that are identical to how they were, but they're also rewritten. They're also, like, slightly different. There's new stuff. There's new stuff that alludes to, like, future lore. Here's another controversial thing. What do we think about this? What do we think? Steve Downes is getting old. He's in his 70s. Which, I mean, hey, he can still play Chief. He still has the beautiful voice. But we got to think about this from a cynical 343 standpoint. Would they bring back Jen Taylor? Probably. I don't think they might not get rid of her. But I don't know. I think they might do new voice actors for Keys at least. Johnson as well. I don't think 343 is going to be able to bring back Scully. I don't think Scully does anything now. He's still around, but I don't think he does voice work anymore. Yeah, he hasn't worked since like Dota 2. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's up to, but I don't think 343 have enough willpower to bring him back. If they're that desperate, they may replace Chief and Cortana. I could totally see that. I could totally see them trying to say, like, we're passing the torch on to a new generation of voice actors. Just like they did with RE4, with, God, Ada. That was there was a Patreon video that was never public, but my God, I went into a bit of a rant. That I went to a rant, I cut it from the main video because it was there was too much tism to justify a 5-minute rant in a video that had nothing to do with it. That was the shit. What video was that? That was the Metal Wolf Chaos video. Because in that, I think I talked about excited voice acting. Yeah, there was, because I talked about excited voice acting. I think I even mentioned Resident Evil. But I went on a big rant that I had to be cut out, and I left it for patrons to watch it, to listen to it, where I talked about way more about Ada's voice actor, and I compared it to her Japanese voice actress, because her Japanese voice actress was a real voice actress, and I don't know if she was the original Ada, but she had definitely portrayed Ada in other Resident Evil games, so she was a real Ada voice actress. The one they had for English, the one they had in English, no one has acknowledged this. She was Ada in the live action like Netflix Resident Evil movie. Not the what is that fucker's name? Man, I'm bad with names tonight. The Paul W.S. Anderson movies. Not Ada from those movies, but Ada from like the Netflix Resident Evil. That was her. If you look up the RE4 remake, the Ada voice actress, which by the way, when you first Google it, the very first article is that very actor responding, telling everybody to go fuck themselves. Like, fuck you. I was Lily Gao, by the way, is her name. She was the only reason she's a television actress, and she was Ada in the awful Netflix movie. That's the only reason she got the part. And her voice sounds so bad. Yeah, people don't acknowledge, and no one acknowledges this. No one acknowledges, like, because there's cope. I hate to say it. We joked about on a Pat's podcast about like like woke and anti-woke. I don't want to get, this isn't that stream. I'm sorry. We're not getting into that. But I think people really defended it because they turned it into like a weird political issue. Like, you just hate her because we have a woman who is of Asian descent who is portraying an Asian woman in this game. It's like, no, she's just a bad actress. But yeah, people were defending her, not realizing like the only reason she was picked was because she was in a prior like Netflix movie. Whatever. She's not a voice actress. She's a movie actress. That's why she sounds terrible. Getting back on topic. That's why I think we're getting new voice actors. I think it's blatant, easy to see. The industry is very shameless with how they do things. I think that's what we're going to expect. We're going to get new voice actors. They're going to be like very subdued, very like RE4 Remake and Dead Space. I think we might get some photo scans of real actors, kind of like what they did for Callisto Protocol and like Call of Duty. I think honest to God, I think we might get that. I think some side characters, like Keys, for sure, they're going to replace him with some actor that they're then going to scan his face in. Same thing with Johnson, I think. AI voices. Oh my God! Wow, that would be the day. Rev, don't curse us. I haven't played RE or any of the remakes. Was Ada's VA performance on par with Yang Yi's? Yeah, they were. That is a good comparison. I'm gonna say she was actually worse than Yang Yi. I as much as I hate that prick, I think he put in a better performance than she did. I think her performance sounds just tired and bored. You think Chief will show his face after the first mission? No, I don't think they're going full TV show. I don't think they're doing that. I think they're going to try and keep it within CE. They're going to try and keep it within the story. There will be future hints. There will be more hints to future Halo lore. We're going to get references to Halo 2, Halo 3, and Reach. There more stuff to try and reference these other games. Also, we're definitely getting... We're definitely getting references to stuff like Prometheans, Didact. I'll even add Didact might be in there. And the human retcon. I think that is some easy 343 retconning. Because you know they want to do that. You know that they really want to heavily retcon the human twist. Which people still defend, by the way. I've never heard... By the way, I'm only going to say this once. Because you guys all... everyone hates the human twist. Everyone hates talking about humans are forerunners. Actually, this one Halo 3 promo comic, which actually isn't canon, says that the humans weren't forerunners. Okay, dude. But here's the thing. No one's ever explained this to me. So let's take 343 lore at face value. So humans are still a technologically advanced ancient species. They're still spacefaring. Only this time they're just not the Forerunners. They're just a different race who fight with the Forerunners. However, I have heard multiple people try and say that even though the Forerunners are a different race than humanity, they are still somewhat related. Like there's still some relation between them and humanity. Which then begs the question, why make them a different race at all? Why make them just aliens who are slightly different, as opposed to just aliens that are like completely alien looking? Like the Covenant. The Covenant all are great designs. They are completely alien. You can't confuse them with a human. But Forerunner, like the Librarian, like she just looks like a human with a fucked up nose. It's like, why even bother? Why even bother make them aliens if you're not going to commit to it? Whatever. 343 lore, we don't talk about 343 lore. It's not canon. It just really can't be. But yeah, no, the remake, they're going to make references to it. It's obligatory. It's not going to be a pure story interpretation. It's going to be redone with references to all of the other new games. I think that's just obvious. Mandalore Gaming raged against 343 stupidity. What did he rage against? I'm curious. Frankie was the CM for Bungie, and before that, he was a journo. I like Mandalore. You know what? I'm even gonna say I love him. I love his videos. Every time a Mandalore video, I sit my ass down and I listen. Every time his video drops, I'm focused. However, he tried to say that he thought that Halo Infinite was gonna like tie into Marathon. That was one at the end of his Marathon video. He tried to like tie it all together. Like all this lore is converging. I think it was partially a joke, which I hope it was, but there are people who straight up are now taking it seriously, who think that Halo and Marathon are part of the same universe now. So I don't know. I really don't know what he was thinking throwing that out there, but whatever. It was a funny sequence. We love Mandalore here. We love him. But yeah, story. Just slight changes, more references to future Halo lore. So, like, for example, I think we're going to get some side characters. Like, certain Marines are going to be made characters. Johnson himself is going to be made as a character. He's not just going to be like a copy-paste Marine, as he was in the original. I even think... I guess it wouldn't be the Arbiter. I never know how to fucking spell Velvedom's name. Or Thelvedom. I think there's definitely going to be references to there's definitely going to be references to Thelvedom. Man, I'm just trying to copy and paste unformatted. There we go. Which would make sense. Make little references to future characters that we're gonna get. It's easy to do. You can just have like a one-off. Here's what I think. Honestly, I think there's gonna be a part of the game where a few elites are like gathered around like a hologram, and in the hologram you'll see Thelvedom commanding them to do something. And Chief is gonna be kind of like observing from the outside. It's gonna be like a cutscene. Like he'll be observing from like a shaded hallway, kind of, and he'll be looking through like Forerunner struts. Like I can visualize it in my head. And it's gonna cut. You'll see like a kind of a wide shot of the Covenant, sort of like sitting around, just kind of lounging around, and a few elites will be crowded around like a hologram table, and you'll see Thelvedom as a little hologram, and then just a brief little Easter egg. That makes sense. I think they'll do that. What else with story? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what are some 343 isms that they might throw into the story. They tried to retcon his origin. Shipmaster. There is a cool little story. I don't know how they would fit it in. I don't think they would. There's a cool graphic novel that shows how Shipmaster lost half of his jaw, and it's a cool story. It's him basically boarding a infested Covenant hydroponics ship during the battle for Installation 04, and essentially him going through his own Dead Space horror nightmare as the flood try and spread on the ship, and like are infecting all these animals and are infecting all of these other Covenant species. It was a neat little graphic novel. But no, I don't think they'd be able to reference that. I think what we have so far is stuff like this, like little references. Story might be expanded. I think I'll leave that for the time being. I think that's good enough. Story will be expanded, but it'll stay the same for the most part, just with references to future Halo lore, to the chagrin of everyone who knows that 343 is going to try and shoehorn their own retcons in there. So what have I talked about? So yeah. It being a remake, remaking the story, levels, campaign. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm trying to think of what else there is to even talk about with the remake. Teasing Spartan 3s. No, I don't think they'll do that. I think if we get Halo 3 teasers, I think it'll be stuff like we just escaped Halo 3. Like for example, I think there'll be a part in the Pillar of Autumn as Master Chief as chaos is happening, everyone's running around trying to get to the escape pods. There's going to be a scene where Chief will walk through like an armory, and the armory will be full of like Halo Combat Evolved gear mixed with like Halo Reach gear. Like there's going to be a couple Halo Reach assault rifles thrown in there, and maybe some of the Halo Reach security armor, like the Halo Reach Metro Cop armor that might be like it's scattered around. Little Easter egg to show like, oh yeah, these were people who were trying to run off of Reach like at the very last moment. Like there's going to be people who still have Halo Reach equipment. I guess. Ooh, I didn't even think about it. Gameplay. What am I thinking about? Gameplay. Gameplay will be different. I think combat is going to play not as arcadey. I think the arcadey combat is going to be saved for the multiplayer suite for Ecker up here. I think I really do think Last of Us is a good comparison. I think Last of Us, like, I'll even just add Naughty Dog. I think Naughty Dog is a good example of what they're going to try and do. Will be more cinematic. I keep saying the word cinematic, but I really think they're going to try and push this. Combat will not be fluid, but it will try to look realistic and or immersive. What do I mean by this? Think Red Dead 2. Characters don't move around quickly. They are animated heavily. They are animated heavily. So they feel a bit more sluggish for realism. I think Max Payne 3 compared to Max Payne 1 and 2. Max Payne 1 and 2, movement, snappy. Snappy movement. You move left and right, you instantly change momentum. You instantly change to that. It's going to be replaced with slower, more realistic movement. Like a Call of Duty or like a Last of Us. You know what these are like. These are going to be, these are, it's going to be those types of cinematic shooters or cinematic movie games, I should say. Ooh. LK Nier, that is a good prediction. Potentially ADS. That is a very good prediction. ADS, clambering, plus sprint, plus sliding. In addition, I might even add this to the multiplayer as well. I think that's for sure. I think that's just now part of Halo. I hate to say it. It's there's nothing we can do. What? Why'd you do that? I think this is it stuck with us like a tumor. We're not getting rid of it from Halo anymore. I think 343 has made that impossible. ADS, I think they're all bad in their own ways. They ruin the simplicity of having combat. So that they both ruin the same thing. ADS and sprint both do the same thing in that they ruin player reaction time. When you have your gun constantly at your hip, ready to fire, with nothing to interrupt, it changes the flow of combat. It just does. It really does. When two players interact with each other and they counter each other, and they both have their guns ready, it changes how that engagement will go. Versus having it so that players can sprint or players can use ADS, wherein that will slow down reaction time. That'll slow down whether or not you'll be able to quick stop sprinting to pull your gun out, or if you would consider using ADS or just would not use ADS and fire from the hip. That choice alone, that's a choice you now have to make to decide what you're going to do before you start shooting at another player. Something that existed in a little capacity for scopes for old Halo games, but not to the extent that ADS brings. I wish more people would just be. Here's my annoyance with Sprint. By the way, it's really funny. Pat in private, they saw that I was going live, and I think Pat joked like, "Have fun ranting about Sprint for an hour." So I'm literally ranting about Sprint. Here's the thing that sucks with gamers. That's right. I'm pulling out the gamers are dead card. I'm like Kotaku. I'm gonna write an article about how gaming's dead, and then I'm gonna go out of business. With now I gotta find another song to put on. Abuse soundtrack. Do we want to listen to Abuse? This is one of my older retrospectives, which technically is a Bungie game, not fully, but kinda. But I wish people would just talk about this more, like, openly with discussion. I wish people were more willing to talk about, like, yeah, these are mechanics that can affect how a game feels, how a game plays. Not what we currently get, which is, oh, you hate Sprint because you hate new games. I saw some really good posts, and this is going to take me off into a rant. So if you guys want me to skip a rant, just let me know, and I can get back on track. There are people who just don't see games as art anymore. Gamers don't see games as art. They see games, and I saw this in regards to some remake that was coming out recently, which I can't even remember what it is. But they were talking about how gamers literally don't see games as art anymore. They see them as products to be upgraded. They see them like phones or like Adobe software. And it's really true. We don't, when you look at an old film, you don't say, "Oh, the color stock on this film is dated. I want it replaced." Because you sound like a fucking psychopath when you say that. What the fuck are you talking about? Film's good because it's old. It's fun to watch an old film. You know what I watched the other night, chat? I watched fucking Tron. I watched Tron from the 80s. And guess what? I loved it. And yeah, I even tweeted about it too, but I didn't get too much into it. Games and their limitations are art. And those limitations are part of what makes a game art. And in the exact same way that it makes film art. That's its own discussion. My problem comes in the fact that gamers see games as these products that need to be continuously upgraded. You can't just have an old game. You have to have a game that has sprint, that has ADS, that has clambering, that has a battle royale, that has a blah blah, whatever. Whatever shit you want, strapped onto it. Because they literally do not see games as art. They see games as software to be upgraded. There has to be a newest version. Because a lot of these people, I hate to say it, a lot of these people are the troglodytes who play yearly CODs or who play yearly Madden. There's a very distinct overlap in those types of people. And so whenever they encounter people like us, people who actually play old games, because these people don't play old games. I think that's made clear. They do not have a desire to play old stuff. They don't have a will to do it. I don't even think they have the ability. If you tried to explain to them, like, yeah, just try and play old Doom. Try and load up a Doom source port. They'd look at you like you're crazy. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. There was an article recently where GOG, they were talking about how hard it was to get their old games onto their store. And one notable example was with Capcom, and Capcom was just confused about why they would want their old Resident Evil games. They literally told them, why would you want to sell our old Resident Evils? Players can just buy the remakes. They would prefer that. So I don't know, there is just a recurring attitude where new stuff is added into the games industry, and that just has to become the standard. There's no desire to analyze, like, hey, a lot of FPS games have sprint and ADS. Can we stop and analyze, do all games need it? What are the effects of adding that? Does it change how a game feels? Because guess what? It changes how a game feels. We're not allowed to have that conversation. Because Call of Duty kids want every game to play like Call of Duty. Just look at how much they rant about the newest Battlefield. Anyway, that's what I think. I think sprint, ADS, they might have their purpose for some games. I think it affects Halo in a negative way, and I find it really odd how people are very defensive over games having it. Seems like cope. Seems like 343 defense cope for me, but that might just be me. We'll never get Lost Planet 2 back. Ah, poor old Lost Planet. That video has hit the algorithm. I'm always curious to know why. I'm curious to know why, like, because I know what my Battlefield video did well recently. It was doing numbers again, because I know why, because the new Battlefield. I'm curious to know why, like, why fucking Lost Planet was popping off lately. Or some, I'm trying to look at some of my other ones. I need you guys to understand, like, I have my notifications turned on, so I see when a video starts getting a bunch of comments. Yeah, Lost Planet was doing numbers. What else was doing numbers? I'm scrolling back in the timeline to see. There were a bunch of them. There's Lost Planet. Oh, do you know what I saw? Dementium is getting a Steam remake, or not a remake, a port, a full-on port of the DS game. I'm not kidding. It's getting a full, it's getting a full port, which is I was very negative towards that game. I recall that being one of my more negative videos. That video was miserable to make, by the way. When I recorded that, playing through that game on emulator was one of the more miserable experiences, probably more so than Halo. However, I think that video turned out really well in editing just because of how comfy it turned into. I used Silent Hill music. I added like rain ambiance. It turned out really good as a video, not so much as the game itself. But yeah, they're doing a full re-release of the DS game. And it doesn't look like they're modifying the visuals that much. Like, it still looks like the shitty DS graphics, which honestly I'm kind of down with. I'm down for that. Respect that. Yeah, GOG and Night Dive are the only remasters I trust. Yeah. I'm tempted to make a video about that. I'm tempted to make a video called Hire This Man. About all the weird bad remakes and remasters. Aspire. It basically is just going to be a video about Aspire. But that's a discussion for another time. So yeah, gameplay, it's going to be slower. Think Red Dead 2. Think also Max Payne 3. Snappy movement is going to be replaced with slower, more realistic movement. Might be ADS, clambering, sprint, sliding. It's stuck with us like a tumor. Yeah. I think that pretty much, that sums up a lot of it. I can't really think of any other predictions. Trying to think, what else? I think Rated M. Rated M. If just for the Flood. Because to be honest, you can't have the Flood and have a T rating. Unless you nerf the Flood, which I don't think they'd be willing to do. I think they know people want to see a return of the Flood. So if they do the full remake. Little Dog and Aspire. The releases they did are excellent. I disagree. I don't like the Tomb Raider releases. Here's another rant. I'm not trying to be mean on you, Angrim. I'm sorry. But my personal opinion is I do not like how the remasters look for Tomb Raider. And in fact, I'll actually point to a better remake. For those who want to play the original Tomb Raider on better graphics, play Anniversary. Tomb Raider Anniversary is an excellent way to play the first game because it was released in the mid-2000s. So if you love mid-2000s graphics, which, I mean, I'm not a big Tomb Raider guy, but God, I do love me some Lara Croft. Mid-2000s graphics, it looks great, and it's a very consistent art style. It doesn't stand out for being really awkward like the newer remasters were. That's just my opinion. That's what I think. I do not like Aspire. My jaw was dropped for their Battlefront remaster. I think that was the point of no return for them. And their Deus Ex remaster just looks laughable. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of Project Foundry, the CE remake. Ooh, last thing. I think it might be delayed to 2027. I really don't know if I see this coming out on Halo's 25th anniversary. I really don't know. I think it's up in the air. I think there's potential that it could release in 2026. Also, I'm going to turn off this this abuse music. Some good background music. I don't know. I think I'll do more. I'll go back to Myth. But with yeah, I think here's what I think. This is going all the way back up to... let me see here. You know what? I'll actually add on to this. So, these are predictions about the games themselves. I think I'm going to also add... Why is this highlighted? Open Office. What are you doing? Predictions for Friday. I think I ought to add some predictions for the Friday event. I kind of talked about them already, but I'll restate them just for either people who missed them or just to have this on record. I'm going to be shocked if we get full trailers. I expect a lot of people a lot of people talking. A lot of B-roll of 343 offices. At most, we're going to see very... We're going to get, like, very early prototype, like, videos of those games. You know, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, those little clips where you see, like, an untextured level environment with, like, very basic player models and assets, things like that. Potentially a super short animation. I think that'll be it. I think that's what we're going to see. A lot of people talking, a lot of B-roll of 343 offices because they love showing off their nice office. And then very early basic gameplay prototypes. And then a very short ending animation tease for the CE remake. I think it's what we're going to see. Halo Studios. True. Also, I forgot to add. I'll go back and add this. So, engine for both of these games. I didn't even really address much of that. So, the rumors are that it's going to be Blam mixed with Unreal, which I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. The comparison that I heard, and it would make sense because this is also Microsoft, for the Oblivion remake, that used the original engine from the original creation engine mixed with Unreal. Not exactly sure how that works. I'd be curious to actually look into the real code behind that. But apparently they're going to try the same thing with Halo. So the visuals and the stuff that you get from Unreal Engine 5 mixed with Blam Engine. So expect the LSS. Expect RTX. Also, let's make some... You know what? I'll just make this a... let's talk about how it's actually going to look. I realized I didn't even really go over that. It's going to aim for a realistic UE5 basic bitch art style. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Brown smog. Like, you guys know how Oblivion looked. Too much bloom, brown smog. Lack of colors. No real distinct art style, just realism. In fact, I'll put this up. I'll move this up a little bit. Halo CE is going to lose its art style. We all saw the diorama video. We all saw the Unreal Engine 5 teaser. It's going to look just like that. It really will. I think that's a safe bet. Wouldn't you guys say? In addition, I think I'll go back and add here. I think the multiplayer only going to be blam. I think if there's going to be a multiplayer game, they're going to make it a little bit more stylized. And this multiplayer game, I think it's going to have 343's art style. The messier visuals, not as streamlined, probably more colorful. Just to allow for skins. Because I'm thinking of this from like a multiplayer standpoint. You're going to get like tons of skins, tons of cosmetics. They probably want that so they can have... they would probably want a more stylized art style. That even may be why it's being compared to Fortnite. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say cartoony. Probably not cartoony. Probably just like stylized, more colorful. But yeah, you guys know what I mean by that. It's pretty easy to see how they would do that. Meanwhile, their cinematic game, realism, it's gonna have. They don't really have to worry about having it colorful. It's just going to look like Unreal Engine 5 slop, which is a distinct visual art style. We all know it. We all know it when we see it. That's what it's gonna look like. And yeah, I think that sums up pretty much everything about these two. So going back to predictions for Friday, because I'm going all over the place here. I should have had this scripted. Maybe I should have made a video for this. I think, yes, CPU memory issues. I can't get into glitches yet. I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know how glitchy these games are. I think of the two games, it's going to be, this game is going to be the glitchiest of the two. I won't even add that. That's just kind of a given. Because in netcode, that seems to be 343's Achilles heel, is working netcode. If we see extensive footage of CE Remake, I think if we see extensive footage of the CE Remake, then it'll likely release in 2026, next year. If we see nothing, no real gameplay, we will not get it till 2027. That's my prediction. This Friday, if we see real gameplay, if we see like actual clips, actual gameplay demos, if we see a real gameplay demo this Friday, that's a 2026 release. That's for sure going to come out in 2026. If we don't see anything, if we just see like a little pre-rendered teaser that's like 30 seconds long, or if we see just a ton of untextured, boxy, like those sandbox rooms that you see all the time in like early Bungie vidocs, and even 343's behind the scenes stuff, that is going to signal that the game is in a very early state and is not ready to even present, which means we're for sure not getting it in 2026. So, no shot of anything, LAN. LAN capability, please. Total standard. May as well put mouse support. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't. It doesn't make sense for both games to release in the same year. I really don't. They might try and pull it off. They might. The only reason Halo Infinite did it was because they were considered part of the same game. If 343 try and do it, they're essentially going to be competing with themselves, which I don't see that working for them. I don't see that working. All right. Kind of got off into the weeds. I think we got a pretty good prediction list so far for both games. Foundry and Ecker. Here's the fun stuff. This is the stuff I've been waiting for. Predictions for the community's cope cycle. I think this is going to be the fun stuff to talk about. Oh. You need to link your Microsoft account. By the way, when Pat was trying to grab Halo Infinite footage, he ran into something which I ran into as well, which is if you have certain default, like, I forget exactly what it is. It's not like antivirus stuff. It's like basic permission sets on your computer, like stuff that's set at the default, like at the kernel level, like stuff that you can't really modify if you don't know what you're doing. That you have to search to re-enable these. Halo Infinite will not launch and will be stuck in like an infinite loading screen if these things are left on their default value. Fucking Microsoft's flagship product, their flagship game, just cannot work for most people. Which I think is funny. Yeah, so predictions for the community scope cycle. We've already been kind of seeing it. Halo's back. Expect a lot of these thumbnails. Expect a lot of them. Expect people to really try and push that Halo is back. They've tried to. I don't know. The AI thing, I think, has really derailed it because people are very anti-AI. And I mean, maybe justifiably, I would say. I think AI. You know what? I think AI. It's just lame. That's what I think. I think it's just lame. But I think that has. There is a lot. There's a very hardcore anti-AI stance for those types of circles, like Reddit or like Twitter. So and even YouTube. Yeah, there's parts of YouTube that are very much like, look at my AI video. But for the most part, I think people are going to be. This is going to kind of force people to be a little bit more negative. You know what? I'll make an additional prediction. If 343 come out and say, make that statement that I joked about earlier, that they're not using AI as extensively as people think, and they're just using it for procedural generation, those people are then going to go back to the Halo is back posting. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if I put. Let me see. Oh god, the comment just disappeared. You guys are chatting fast. For the PS5 comment about it releasing on PS5. I forgot to add that for the remake. I think the remake is going to be Xbox, PC, PS5. Oh. Open office. Why are you so glitchy? My goodness. Yeah, Bungie can simply do because the technical limitations. No Switch 2. No, I really don't think the Switch 2 is a possibility. God damn, I have to like give me a sec, chat. My open office had to crash. I've never seen that happen before. I've never crashed my open office before. Give me a sec. I might have to retype in some stuff. But no, I don't think the Switch 2 is going to be a an option. I think Switch 2 at most might be for the multiplayer. Sorry, chat. Give me a sec. I'm trying to. Forgot how I had it. But yeah, I don't think Switch 2. I think Switch 2 at most might be for the multiplayer because I don't think the multiplayer is going to have that much. It's not going to take up that many resources. Oh, I guess I did lose some stuff. Okay, let me try and refill this out. But no, I think just for PC, Xbox, and PS5, a Switch. All right. Oh God, I lost a lot of work. Hold on, let me see if I can reopen a better. Because I tried to restore this. Oh, never mind. I guess it's stuck this way. All right. God damn you, Open Office. You've never crashed before. Why are you making me look bad on my first stream? So yeah, community. Halo is back posting.
All non-combat personnel report to evacuation stations.
The AI stuff might hamper this enthusiasm, but if 343... We'll be back to posting. Halo is back. Here, I'm going to warn you guys right now. I have foreseen the future. I think I know exactly how a lot of this stuff is going to play out. I think... Okay, so... Halo CE Remake. Single player only. There will be controversy here. There already is. There's people who are already pointing out how they're remaking Halo 1, but they're removing Halo 1's features, which is very questionable. Why would you remove features from a game that was pretty important for its multiplayer scene? Expect this cope. 343 shills will try to say that because Halo CE originally was not planned to have multiplayer, this justifies the remake not having multiplayer either. Chat, you need to expect this fucking cope. This is going to happen. You are going to hear from so many of these Halo channels who are going to reveal, they're going to talk about how, hey guys, did you know that the early version of Halo Combat Evolved did not have a multiplayer? God, once again, I should not have done that voice. I'm really sorry. Did you guys know that 343 are simply remaking the game that Bungie wanted to make? Combat Evolved did not have multiplayer originally. Multiplayer was only added very, very shortly before launch. That's the famous Haloid fact. That's the famous Halo factoid. Is the fact that Halo 1's multiplayer was kind of a fluke, that it was added pretty late in development, like right before launch. And people are going to use that to cope and say, oh, this, you guys complaining about there being no multiplayer for CE? Here's this little factoid. Bet you feel foolish now, you fucking liberal. Jackals in the courtyard. But, yeah, expect that. Expect that a lot. We all know the real reason. They want people who want Halo multiplayer to be forced to play their god-awful free-to-play live service multiplayer game. We understand that. If they gave players a simple Halo 1 remake with Halo 1's original multiplayer, players would only play that. 343 cannot allow that. They will then force everybody to hop on to their awful free-to-play microtransaction-heavy fucking god-awful live service game. We know. We know why they're doing it. So, 343 shills will ignore this. Don't expect any of those shills to ever address this. They're never going to talk. No one is ever going to talk about this. Expect this to not be a talking point. Should I start naming people? Hidden Zerpedia, Actman, Mint Blitz. None of them are ever going to acknowledge this. They're never going to acknowledge that 343 wants people to only play the free-to-play, microtransaction-heavy, live service multiplayer game. They're only going to talk about how the Halo Combat Evolved originally wasn't meant to have multiplayer. So in a way, 343 is kind of justified. Sorry, I'm just captivated by the Halo 2 dialogue. I accidentally paused there in the compilation. You can see that. But they're going to not ever acknowledge the fact that some people just want to play Halo 1 multiplayer. And they don't want to be forced to play a free-to-play shitty, live service game instead. It won't matter. It won't matter. It's only going to be talked about years after. So this is the most immediate stuff that's going to happen. Halo's backposting. Halo's backposting increases when there's very little info. You notice this with the Halo cycle. With very little info, cope runs high. As more and more info trickles in, people get concerned. Expect a gameplay demo within the next 6 months. Foundry or Ecker. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I went wild against YouTubers. I really do hate Halo YouTubers. I really do. It's just pathetic. I mean, it's almost like there's a whole section of my Halo Infinite video explaining why. But no, expect A long gameplay demo within the next 6 months. Foundry or Ecker, either one really. It could be either one. But it's only like Apollo. Here's the thing. And I'll get into this in the Halo cycle too. It only happens once it's publicly acceptable to do that. Expect a demo within the next 6 months. The demo will be even more concerning. All fears for either game will be confirmed. Either we're going to see multiplayer gameplay of Ecker being a free-to-play live service game, or we're going to see cinematic footage of the CE remake, and it's going to have an ugly Unreal Engine 5 art style, or really bad Naughty Dog style scripting. Cope Defense Force. No, what's the what was the meme image? What was the meme image? Team Cope. I love that. I that should be I'm going to use that as the thumbnail for when I make my next stream. Team Cope is going to step in and claim that the demo looks fun, actually. This happened with Halo Infinite. People do not remember that when Halo Infinite was shown off, people made fun of its demo. People did. People made fun of it. It was impossible to not laugh at. But there was a subsect of Halo defenders who were really adamant that the demo actually looked kind of fun. And that... guys, the flood is back. All right, that wasn't even an impression. That was just something else. Halo themed dubstep. Oh, I didn't even think about music. I'll get into that in a sec. Happened with Infinite. Yeah, demo is going to be bad. It's going to look very concerning. But people are going to defend it. You're going to have people who say, I actually think the demo looks pretty fun. Topic of music, though. I didn't even really think about that. You know what? I'll add it. Just a little point. Music will be fully remade. Kind of like what they did for Anniversary. I feel that's not a controversial take. Like they will do the same thing. Same tracks will be used alongside new tracks that sound Halo-ish. Zero mention of O'Donnell and Salvatore. Is that how I spell his name? But yeah, zero mention of those two. Those two have a very bad relationship with modern day Microsoft. So no mention of them at all. So I spelled O'Donnell's name wrong. And for other reasons too. Microsoft is not going to want to mention those two. But same music, I think. But yeah, gameplay demo is going to be shown within the next 6 months. I'm trying to remember what I'm going to reopen my prediction. I had another list full. Basically, I had a script written for predictions, and when I was originally going to try and make this a video, and then I kind of gave up on that. Thank you, Cortana. Here it is. Oh, okay. Here's one. At some point,
Chief?
We've flown out to the island. Not Epstein's island, but Bill Gates' island.
You gonna get going, sir?
So a bunch of Halo shows are going to be flown out to some island or event. May as well fucking be Epstein's island. Jesus Christ. Closed door demos. Expect lots of shilling. They're going to come back and make their videos. This is the Halo Bungie wish they could have made. And then they're going to say multiplayer was engaging and really fun. Your mention of microtransactions. Zero mention of microtransactions. But yeah. The Halo cycle, it's going to be very similar to what we've seen in the past. It's going to be Halo's back. Lots of cope. More and more info keeps coming out, leaking. Cope in full force. Please wait. We're going to see people say, please wait till the game's out before you form your own opinion. Back in the game. We're going to start seeing these platitudes. Halo Studios is committed to making the best game they can. Halo Studios is listening to the community. Expect to hear this a lot when the changes for Combat Evolved Remake are very noticeable and are very bad. When we start seeing more and more reveals of like certain areas in the game, it's like, oh, they've redesigned this area and it looks like garbage. Expect a lot of that. Expect a lot of that type of talk. And in the free-to-play title too, as microtransactions are present in the free-to-play title. Expect that. More and more info. It's definitely gonna leak. We're gonna hear more and more. Behind the scenes. We will learn that working conditions were nightmarish. None of this will be acknowledged by 343 shills till after the game releases, just like with Infinite. Marketing. We'll try and be nostalgic for Halo 1. Expect to have your heartstrings pulled. They are really going to try and push this is the game that you thought you played 20 years ago. They're going to try and they're really going to try and push this. $25 years ago, actually. Shit, what was the There's some more platitudes that I was thinking of. Return to form, I feel like. Return to its roots. Halo is returning to its roots. Expect to hear this phrase a million times. Expect to hear this. So many more times than you can count. Get ready to hear that a lot. Oh, that's a Trevor. That is. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm going to add that. Holy shit. I didn't even think about that. Good prediction. Kind of like in Halo 2 Anniversary, where she just looked a bit frumpy. No, Cortana's not going to be sexy. Hot take. I actually, Halo 1 is one of my favorite versions of Cortana. I like the purple. I like the, she was designed to be kind of based off of Queen Nefertiti. So she kind of has that, that look to her. You would expect a remake of CE. They're going to take that design and make it be make that low poly model look like real sexy and slick. They're not going to do that. They're going to make her look frumpy. They're going to she might not even be purple anymore. They might just make her. Ooh, that's a good question. Will she be purple or will she be blue? What do you guys think? What does chat think? Because she was purple in Infinite. That's interesting. She was purple when they showed her in the really bad Halo Infinite cutscenes. That might be what she's going to look like, actually. She might look more like her Halo Infinite incarnation. Would they make her purple? I don't know. That's something to think about. Green. Blue. Blue. Okay, you guys think blue. Damn, I didn't know you streamed. Are these planned or just random? Kind of random. I don't stream. Actually, this is the first one because I wanted to make some predictions so that when these come true, I can say, "I told you so." I can look at you guys and go, "I told you." So Halo's returning to its roots. Expect to hear this phrase a lot. Release. I don't think it'll bomb. I think it'll do pretty okay, but it won't make notable sales records. Reviews gonna be lukewarm at best. 70s, maybe 80s, perhaps a few 60s, maybe lower. Won't be a 10 out of 10. Won't be a Game of the Year contender. Halo shills. We'll ignore reviews, just like with Infinite. They'll ignore reviews and they'll just say that they find the remake fun. It's my subjective opinion. Yep. But yeah, reviews are going to be pretty lukewarm. I don't think it's going to bomb. I don't think it's going to be like 4 out of 10s. I think 80s even is generous. I think 70s at most. Perhaps a few 60s, maybe lower. Not 10 out of 10. Not Game of the Year contender. Kind of to be expected. I mean, they have less to worry about. They have less to focus on. They don't have to worry about a multiplayer mode. They can just focus on that linear cinematic campaign. Well, I don't want to talk about drop off for the remake. In fact, I'll do this. I'll separate the releases. CE remake releases. It won't bomb. It'll do pretty okay. Make notable sales records. It's my subjective opinion. After the remake, in fact, I should probably just make these. You know what? I'll just leave them part of this. It's a nightmare of a text document that I've made for myself. I think life cycle will be similar to RE4. The remake RE4. And a little refresher. People defended that fucking shitty remake fiercely when it came out. Krubcat made a video about it, and everyone attacked him when he was just all he was doing was just comparing the atmosphere. Everyone attacked them. After a few months, people finally started to feel mixed about it. Add some more months, add a couple of years, now people mock it. So I find that very interesting. I found the life cycle of RE4 Remake to be very interesting. I think Halo will go through a similar life cycle. So this is, remember, this is all hypothetical. I think after months, people will finally feel comfortable attacking it, and they'll point out the specifically with the art style differences. Honeymoon phase, exactly. Shills for the remake will go quiet. This is just like this is just the playbook for what happened with Halo 4, Halo 5, and Halo Infinite. Those shills are just going to go quiet. They'll kind of quietly accept like, oh yeah, and even MCC as well. They'll go quiet. They'll accept like, yeah, some of this stuff, yeah, I accept that people don't like some of these changes. After a year, game will be openly mocked as a bad remake. Expect big video essays made in this time, breaking down why the original works and why the remake doesn't. I'll level with you, chat. Going off of how long it takes for me to make my reviews, this is probably when I'm going to make my review. If all goes according to my predictions. This is when Bunker Dweller's video is going to pop up on your guys' subscription feed. 343 shills isn't good. They'll finally admit the game isn't good. Expect all those Halo tubers, you know the ones, to come crawling out of the woodwork admitting it's a bad remake. That's to be expected. That's the Halo cycle right there. Remake will be mostly forgotten in a few years, except for people who are new to the series who don't know that there are ways to play the original. A la RE4 remake, a la Dead Space remake, a la, God, all of the remakes, pretty much. No lasting impression. No Halo 2 or 3 remake. As I'm sure is being planned by Microsoft. at this very moment. So that'll be the release of the remake. People will defend it right when it launched. After a few months, they'll finally start admitting that they feel mixed about it, and then people will eventually mock it after more months, maybe even a year or two. People will finally feel comfortable attacking it. They point out the art style differences. Honeymoon phase will not last. Chills for the remake are then going to turn around. They're going to say that they're going to pretend that they disliked it from the very beginning. We know how this goes. Remake is mostly going to be forgotten. I don't think it's going to be as despised as the other Halo games. I don't think it's going to hit those levels. I think it's just going to be like a ho-hum. It's like RE4, like a ho-hum remake. People are going to be like, that's a way to play the game if you want to, but play the original instead. That's my prediction for how that cycle will go. Expect a lot of shilling. Expect a lot of Halo's returning to its roots. Expect this a lot. In addition to that, so Project Ecker, it has to launch at some point. I don't know how much difference it's going to make if this launches before or after the remake. I don't really foresee it doing that much differently. What I will say, free-to-play multiplayer game with no campaign is a hard sell to Halo fans. The only reason people jumped on board with Halo Infinite as much as they did was because of the promise of there being an eventual campaign coming along. If people know that it's only going to be multiplayer and nothing else, I think Halo fans are going to be a little bit more reserved. Slow trickle of content. Base game will be bare bones on launch. I talked a bit about this earlier. No Forge, no Theater, no Infection, no. I don't know if I'll add that. There might be a battle royale. That might even be how they'll sell it. There's no guarantee that there'll be one. But yeah, very basic multiplayer suite. Let me put on some more music. I think we're going back to Oni. But yeah, I don't really know what much to say about the multiplayer. Game will be cheaper for 343 to support. I foresee this game limping along with little support years after its release. Opinions will remain mixed at launch and will never improve. I think the multiplayer game is going to be permanently stained by it being free-to-play live service. Those live service elements are going to get worse after launch. It's just how it happens. Things like battle passes, skins. That's going to be a turnoff to like, especially diehard Halo fans who maybe didn't pick up the game when it launched, but are now like, you know, after CE remade, after the CE remake kind of stumbles, they're going to be very apprehensive about approaching this brand new free-to-play live service title that's full of microtransactions. It's a little harder to approach for a Halo fan. But yeah. Also, I'll add no PvE or firefight. This will never be added to the game. I think it's only going to be multiplayer deathmatch, or it's only going to be PvP. I don't think they're ever going to add firefight. I think it's, guys, I don't think we're ever going to see firefight ever again. I think firefight is dead. What do you mean you don't like the pumpkin helmet? Is immersion really that important? Seriously, expect those compliments. That's a good, I'll even add that on there. People do not comprehend the idea that a game's art style can stay consistent and immersive even if it's multiplayer. It's how old Halo used to rock. Expect a lot of crossovers. A lot of crossovers with other IPs and brands. Expect Sony crossovers too. There will for sure be a Helldivers helmet. There will be a Killzone helmet. I'm predicting that. What are some other, I'm trying to think, what are some other like cosmetics that they could do? Ooh, I know. Doom guy and Call of Duty. They have, it's their first person shooter franchises. Microsoft has to have that brand synergy. Haze, oh my god. No, I don't know if they go that far. Do you know what's sad is the Haze helmet, the Haze armor from that shitty ass game. That unironically like could fit within 343's Halo art style. Like that could fit within Halo. I could totally see that being like, oh, that's a Spartan from Halo 5, or that doesn't shock me. But no, I expect the big ones. ODST had Helldivers had ODSTs. It's only fair that Microsoft will return the favor. Hey Sony, here is our Helldiver Battle Pass. You know what? I'll even add, because Sony gave them a full Battle Pass. They might just have a full-on Helldivers Battle Pass. And yeah, I think the game will just kind of limp along for years until it literally stops making money. Well, expect your 10-year plan. I think this is going to be the game they'll try and force that shit into. This is going to be Microsoft's new 10-year plan. I'll even go a step further. This Microsoft is going to try and sell this as a replacement for all future Halo multiplayer games. What I mean by that is they're going to try and sell that the future of Halo will be a bunch of these remakes or single player experiences, and multiplayer offerings will be met with this free-to-play game. Fully expect that. Clippy has a personal AI. Here's another prediction. Game will be sub 2K players within 2 years after launch. That's a pretty safe bet, right? Like 2K players, like that's kind of what Halo Infinite is hovering at. I think that's what Halo is. It's like I feel a free to play only Halo game doesn't have as much life even as Infinite. I think that would fall off a little faster because it doesn't even have a single player to, I don't know, draw people in. That's my prediction. Halo multiplayer launch. You know what? I'm not even going to add this here. I'm going to put this on... I'm going to put this on this section over here. But yeah, I fully imagine Microsoft is going to try and run this scheme. They want a multiplayer only suite so that they don't have to constantly be competing with themselves, releasing a new multiplayer game every year. It's kind of like what they're trying to do for Call of Duty. They're trying to make Call of Duty a like big live service game where every iteration is only a little bit different, but they all kind of connect through the same, you know, Call of Duty client. Concord scenario. Let me see. I'm just reorganizing how this is formatted. I don't really need to, but I like... It's the tisms, the OCD in me. Expect a lot of crossovers. Game's going to be drip fed, and it's going to have 2K players within 2 years after launch. I fully predict that. Expect all the Halo shields to turn around within a year after launch of both games. They'll finally go back to Halo is dead posting. Halo shields have the funniest, like those Halo tubers, they have the funniest, like, life cycle. It's hard for me to describe, just this idea that they, like, they kind of realize too late that their franchise is dead, and so they, like, kind of freak out about it. They go through, like, the 5 stages of grief. Like, it's really funny to watch. You know, the rest of us kind of just already accept it, and we're, like, just cold and cynical about it, but they freak out. I think they realize that there's nothing they can do. I think they realize that, like, the cope runs out after a certain point. They have, like, a bad withdrawal. Or sorry, from Halo energy. Expect rumblings of a Halo 2 remake years and years after the Halo 1 remake releases. It'll never come to fruition. There's no way Project Foundry is ever going to sell enough for Microsoft to justify it. So that's my extensive prediction. Man, we've been going for 3 hours. I think I'm going to wrap it up here soon, if that's all right with you guys. But yeah, to kind of like summarize, I think we're getting 2 games. I don't know how much we're actually going to see this Friday. At most, I think we're going to get this. I'd be shocked if we get full trailers. I expect a lot of people, a lot of like interviews, a lot of B-roll of 343 offices. And if we do see gameplay, it's going to be like untextured level geometry. Then a very short teaser trailer for the CE remake. But yeah, Halo's back. Remember, watch out. You guys will see that. It's not, you have to stay. We need you. We're getting 0.75 games. I'm happy so many people showed up to the stream. Oh my goodness. What are you guys not doing on a Sunday night to justify listening to some Minnesotan guy rant about a dead 25-year-old video game franchise? I'll hold on to this. You know what? In fact, I think we're going to come back in a week. I think we're honest to God. I think I'm going to come back in exactly 1 week because it's October 24th. October 24th, we have about like 5 days. I think I'll come back that same Sunday right after, and we'll have another conversation about all the predictions and whether or not they came true. I'm curious to know. We have some pretty out there predictions too. Predictions that we will not know until some of these games release. Which I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how this all turns out. I'm just color coding some of this. I'm excited. I'm excited for the next Halo cope cycle. Chat, it has been too long since I've been able to rant against 343 shells. I miss it. I really do. I miss it. I think it's honest that fading out. I think it's a good place to call it. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. You guys have been awesome. It was nice chatting with you all. This was an experiment. If you want more live streams, thank Pat in private for telling me to do this. I was not expecting to have fun ranting. I like ranting. I love ranting. I need a live react. I would love to do a live react. Here's a little peek behind the curtain. Here's the Wizard of Oz revealing who he is. I work for a living. I don't get to just sit around doing nothing. I will not be able to live react. I think it's in like mid-afternoon, I think. I don't know. But no. No live reaction. I'm sorry. But yeah. Man, I can't imagine that AI stuff. I really want to know. I really want to know what the AI stuff is. Is it just concept art? I hope it's just concept art. But whatever. I'll see you guys in a week. I need to do more stuff with Pat in private. I don't really know. I'll wait for them to invite me to more stuff. I don't like to ask to be in. I don't like to pry. I don't like to be like, hey guys, do you want to do something again? Chat, my entire channel already feels like a fluke. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why people put up with a guy like me ranting about video games. So, anyway, you guys all take care. Have a wonderful week. We will be anticipating the reveal. I'm sure some people have learned that there even is a reveal. I saw some people at the beginning of the stream saying stuff like, what? There's a reveal? I didn't know about that. So I'm excited for them. All right. I got to go. None of this Minnesotan goodbyes where it takes like 20 minutes for us to actually say goodbye to people. Good night, everybody. I'll see you in a week. Hopefully, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, good night, you all. Have a great week. I'll see you on Sunday. And oh, very last thing. I'm going to say very last thing. Videos, video schedules. There are 2 videos being worked on right now. You guys did kind of predict what the 2 videos are. I'm going to leave them a little ambiguous for everyone else who hasn't quite predicted it yet. There is a shorter retrospective that I'm trying my ass to get ready for Halloween. I'm working my ass off to get it ready before Halloween. It's going to be a shorter video, probably like within 30-ish minutes. After that, there is another video. It's going to be after Halloween, unfortunately. It is going to be much longer. Think on the scale of my Halo 2 review for another series, another game series. So that one, I'm working on both, but I'm trying to get the Halloween one ready first, and then I'm going to move immediately over to working on that big one. So just know I haven't stopped making videos. I'm still working on them. Thanks for being patient with me, you guys. I'm even going to go back to working on them even later tonight. So you guys take care and hang in there, dudes. Everything will be all right. Remember, Halo